The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. 5th Book. Epilogue, or Prologue. Chapter 9. Uncle Kurt demanded to stay alone in my room. He would consult Captain Kiev immediately with his scrotal about the convenience to realize or not my demential plan. I had the convincement that, if my theory was correct, my plan would be approved by the gods, under protest of Uncle Kurt. On one hand, the own Uncle Kurt seemed to have deposed in some measure his negative attitude. When I concluded the speech, he just smiled, for first time in 2 days, and he said, "I was wrong, Nif. You not only look like me, as I estimated in Santa Maria. You also look like Conrad Tarstein. And you have reminded it now, providing me, as you have done, one of his demential missions." Then, at hearing it, as I hear you now, assaulted me the conviction that I had fallen in hands of a madman. But then, all went out according to the plans, and I had to surrender before whom had better strategic vision than me. Really, because you deserve it, I'd wish now that, the same occurring that you be right. By my part, I will always perceive that something is missing to the plans, that they're unfinished, that they cannot give good results. And if they are carried out to a good end, will always assault me the impression that the success, not depended of the plan, of its major or minor perfection, as from the divine intervention, the miracle that will save us in the last moment. At last, that was my Uncle Kurt, and no one could change him now. I went away to the contiguous room, the one of the deceased Catalina, while he communicated with gods loyal to the spirit of man. No more than 7 or 8 minutes had elapsed when Uncle Kurt entered. Perhaps, because he accumulated too much tiredness, perhaps, to not think in Catalina, who, hours before occupied such room with her children until he felt that his blood turned in fire. The truth is that, once I supported the head on the pillow, I began to dream. It was a symbolic dream, strange, but very suggestive. I was unknowing how, in an edifice with many floors, communicated to each other by countless stairs. I was searching for something. I went up and down the stairs, without finding his whereabouts. All of a sudden, at ascending by a huge terraces of green stone, I acceded to a squared platform without exit. I was going to undertake the return, when I warned a subtle movement in one of the walls that surrounded the platform. I turned back, and at observing with carefully, I comprehended that such wall was really a mirror. At the beginning, the mirror reflected me, to my exterior aspect, and for that reason, what happened then, took completely unwarned. Paralyzed with terror, I discovered that an enormous and hideous black spider was observing me, with same care. Immediately, I realized that spider was myself, or something of me that was reflected outside. Overcoming the apprehension that possessed me, I extended shyly one hand towards the mirror. At the same time, the spider advanced its frontlet thither. Over the speculate surface, we rubbed each other. Then, the spider bristled, as decided to bite, and, in the midst of my horror, it jumped onwards, went out from the mirror, and fell upon me, inside of me, sinking into the bottom of myself. The terrible experience forced me to close the eyes, but, thence, I opened them again, still paralyzed, and I saw the mirror again. But, it didn't reflect the spider anymore, but to a wonderful beauty sword. I recognized it immediately. It was the wise sword of the House of Tharsis, unmistakable with its 2 hawks and a quill, its stone of Venus, its spiraled ivory hilt, with unicorn horn, and the legend Honor et Mortis. It was as animated, as provided of a life, that peeped furtively behind the symbolic form. Once again I took it to the mirror, noticing amazed that, now, it could cross the surface. I arrived then to sort with intentions to take it, but at touching it, this was surprisingly transformed, and also jumped to me, entered in me. It was transferred to the bottom of myself. But this time, it was not a spider, but a lady, the most beautiful lady that I ever conceived, only comparable to the uncourted beauty of the Virgin of Agatha, who entered in myself, and that I only saw furtively, just as she permitted that her eternal life be perceived under the symbolic clothes, runic, of the wise sword. In that nuptial instant, at seeing her, for first and last time in life, I screamed unknowing why. I have found you again. And she kissed me at parting, losing herself in the infinite blackness of myself, and leaving me, plunged in an indescribable ecstasy, colder than ever, harder than ever, more complete than ever. Stone of ice, man of stone, Caliber woman, wise sword, Cali. Oh Cali. Oh, Cali, murmured, while Uncle Kurt was entering, and transporting me to the bitter reality of the funeral in Srillos. It costed to me to recover lucidity, after so vivid dream, and, as in dreams, I heard Uncle Kurt, reviewing the message of Captain Kiev. Of course, he didn't do it, without making his personal protest. I spoke with Captain Kiev, Nif. As I did it, 35 or 40 years ago. And you were right. It is convenient to execute your plan. Strategically convenient. What doesn't mean necessarily that the plan be good. So, don't be too happy, because the Lord of Venus made a warning, ambiguous, as all the warnings of the gods. But, before talking about it, I'll tell you that nothing has changed after so many years, that for me, all remains equal, that is to say, in the most opaque nebula, and that I tired of this life, in which I have the power, but, at not understanding the power, at not including the symbol of the origin that I am, I don't achieve to insert myself, rationally in the strategy, in the great strategy of the loyal cities, and the Führer. Once again, the history has been repeated. When I commented to Captain Kiev, that I had no faith in the effectively of that plan, and even less, after the warning that he had transmitted me, he said me textually that I not comprehended the situation. Can you see Nif? He asked with an affliction that resulted comic for me. The gods confirm the diagnosis of Tarstein, von Grossen, the Kalikas, and many others. I don't understand the situation, any situation, it seems. I know that and it fills me grief, but they seem to give a damn my grief. It is enough for them, to give my power to realize their demental plans, even if I don't understand them. And the Captain Kiev participates of this attitude. My function is not to comprehend but to act, comply with the orders to the letter. To comprehend the strategy, are the men as Tarstein, and you, the mulators of Nimrod, the Cassid king, the madmen, who plan and achieve to prosecute with a war in heaven, and take heaven by assault. Of course, that with our indispensable collaboration, the powerfuls, who ignore how to apply the power, who don't comprehend the situation, but must employ all our power, to save the bacon of the wise men. Thus, he continued protesting a while I attended him with patience. Finally, he spoke of what interested us with urgency. In sum, Nif, that in the absence of major comprehension, I will attend to the beginning, which clearer for me. The immortal cannot die. And here goes the warning of Captain Kiev. In general, he approved what you propound to do, but he said me these enigmatic words. At finishing the operation, those who didn't contemplate it at the beginning, will see it, but, if they would have seen at the beginning, it would avoid you, to end the operation. You tell me, in whom the gods trust, what he desired to say with that ambiguous advertence. Dear Uncle Kurt, I must be as sincere as you. I don't know it with security, but, I presume that, he is warning us, about a fail in the plan. About something, an important detail, that I have overlooked, and that, if I consider it, perhaps, would make me desist to go on. But even thus, he advises us to act, and that we will do. But, I'll not stop mulling over the matter. I will meditate 1,000 times in the plan, to try to discover what is hidden to my strategic vision. It'd not like me to receive a surprise at the end. And I would not risk myself for anything in the world, if I would not be convinced that we are going to win. The surprise, Uncle Kurt, shall be received by the killers. We have to dominate all the variants of the attack, to avoid to be surprised at the same time. I swear you that I will not leave any element without considering it, until it acquires the maximum security in the operation. 45 minutes after we went up, we returned with the Commissar Maidane. He was placidly asleep in the sofa, where we left him seated. Uncle Curty asked me, at going down the stairs, about the tactic that I would adopt to obtain the particular help that we needed from him. Have you thought in what you will tell him? You are not thinking to give him details of the operation, don't you? He settled me with his doubts. Look, Nif. I do not trust in him, nor in any person like him. They suffer a great ideological confusion, and they cannot be real comrades. They are with you today, and tomorrow you don't know to whom they will respond. Slow, Uncle Kurt, slow. I tried to calm him. Don't despise in that way, to whom represents our unique support. Here, in the Argentina, he is the best that exists. We are not in the Third Reich anymore. That already passed. The Führer is not at sight anymore, to awake the unlimited loyalty that you feel. We're the only ones who see the Führer, the initiates. And we cannot demand them to behave as SS knights, if they are forced to live in the world of the pre-universal synarchy. Remember that, even you preferred to die than to survive in this world. Then be a little tolerant, and don't worry that I'll just tell him what he wants to hear. Do you comprehend, Uncle Kurt, that I can't lie, but I cannot tell him all the truth? I will reveal him, then, part of the truth, that part that he wants to know, and that don't affect us, if he knows it. I awakened Maidane, with a coup of coffee in the hand. He apologized for his lack of control, and he recovered immediately. He was drinking the coffee as water, and in some minutes he consumed 3 coups, while he was hearing my proposal. I'll talk to you, as nationalist comrade, Commissar Maidane, I clarified. We have coincided, with my friend, in which effectively you can facilitate us the kind of help that we need. Logically, to reach to an agreement, I will have to put some cards on the table, thus, I will start from the murder of BELICENA VILLCA. Overall, I will signalize you the motive of the crime, her son, Noyo VILLCA. The murderers wanted to establish the whereabouts of Noyo VILLCA. Why? Because the young man was an intelligence agent, infiltrated in the subversive organizations. I knew that there was something concrete in all these. Maidane exclaimed triumphant. After so many madness and profusion of false ideas, it had to be some specific motive which was wanted to be occulted. Indeed. I confirmed. And do you know for whom works Noyo VILLCA? Well, nothing else than for the Argentinian army. Even more, he was an officer of the army, a Captain G2. Mother of God. He invoked, and why those documents don't figure in the police expedient of BELICENA VILLCA. Because a powerful synarchic organization, which worked on all the levels of the army, was occupied to hide the information. Don't forget that was the army who locked her in the madhouse. To that organization, integrated not only be Jews, belongs the killers of BELICENA VILLCA, and my family. What you must recognize, because it will allow you to discover the nexus between both crimes, is that Noyo VILLCA is fugitive, due to the synarchy is trying to suppress him, to avoid that his ultra-confidential knowledge be put in practice. And that to me, his mother before dying, Suming illustrated me the keys to find it. Now is all clarified. Believed Maidane. I congratulate you, Dr. Signal. You're a real man. You risked yourself alone for the national cause, and the international killers made you pay it dearly. You have done well trusting in me. From now on, we can work together against this organization and help Noyo VILLCA too. Not so fast, Madonna, that I don't see things in that way, I stopped him. The favor that we are going to ask you doesn't consist in your support and your group, but in another thing. In that sense, and for the moment, you will remain out from our action. That will be the base of the deal. No discussion. You take it, or not. My proposal is the next. VILLCA belonged to a super-secret nationalist group of the army. I know your contact, and I am disposed to reveal it to you, with which your group and the one of them will be able to agree to work together. Thus, you will not remain out of the case. But, and for the moment, I repeat you'll have to leave us, to act against the killers. What do you want to say with for the moment? Maidane wanted to know. I want to say that, the restriction that I impose you, is provisory, motivated in the presumption that we have more possibilities of success, if we operate alone. But, that we trust in you, it is demonstrated by the contact, that I will give to you. And, I'll also give you my word of honor, that if our action fails, and remains another chance, we will resort without hesitation to you. In principle, I accept, acceded Maidane. Who is the contact? Before you must assure me that, you will comply with the favor that we demand to you, I prevented myself. Well, tell me once of what it treats. He demanded irritated. Weapons, Commissar Maidane. We need at least 2 weapons, as soon as possible. What kind of weapons? He asked hesitating, and added, I don't know why you don't leave this in hands of professionals, Doctor, you're acting out of your specialty. It is, as if I would be dedicated now to realize psychic healings. I already told you, Maidane, which were the terms of the deal. You take it, or not. I have no choice, Signal. Of course, that I can give you weapons. We have every kind of weapons. Tell me, just, what damn kind of weapons you want. We need a kind of weapon that be very effective from close range, to destroy the body. 2 rifles of repetition would be ideal, I suggested. I can give you 2 attackers, this same afternoon. What else? Well, ammunitions for the rifles, and, it is possible to obtain hand weapons too. I realized that, I lacked of military training as to ask for the things with clarity. Uncle Kurt, who was specialist in the matter, remained silent to not call the attention about his knowledge. Hand weapons. There are hundreds of hand weapons at your disposition. But, if you let me intervene with my experience in this matter, it seems to me that the best will be that you explain me what do you think that you're going to do, and let me in charge of the equipment. I couldn't, of course, explain him the plan. But I could show him some general details. It treats about a command operative against the killers. What kind of operative? An ambush. I defined. Well, then, you don't need any kind of hand weapon, but machine pistols. And you must also carry grenades of fragmentation. Look, Signal, I prepared you 2 teams SWAT, adequated for this type of operation. Where are you going to operate? Can you carry a combat coat? Yes, I think so, I replied. Look with the shank of the eye to Uncle Kurt, and I saw that he assented. What importance it has is that the combat coats that I'll give to you have all the necessary pockets, rings and shackles, he explained. They will carry machine pistols, which are too small, even if they shoot 1,000 bullets per second, in a holster pouch, and you will resort to them only in case of necessity, because you will carry the attackers in the hands. The attackers can be used with leash for the shoulder, or with leg pouch, but, for the case, I suggest the leash. They have capacity for 8 cartridges, what confers them an infernal firepower. With just 1 charge should be enough for an ambush, but, if you must sustain a gunfire, you will find more cartridges in the jacket. Likewise, in other pockets, are the extra loaders for the machine pistols, and in the belt, the 10 grenades of fragmentation. For the doubts that you be forced to demolish something, I will also provide you 2 tot-hill breads, with electronic detonator each one, which will be also subjected to the inner jacket. I will complete you the team, with 2 mountain knives, which sheath is sewed in the interior part of the jacket. Satisfied, Dr. Signal? When you can give me such equipment? I asked admired. this same afternoon. Now, give the name of the contact. Captain Diego Fernandez. In 1978, was destined to Tucumán. He doesn't know me, and surely, he doesn't know what happened to BELICENA VILLCA 3 months ago. He will not refuse to talk with you, when be warned that we are trying to protect his comrade.